In round 4 of the Norway Chess, Vishy Anand beat Ding Liren in the Armageddon. The Norway Chess has adopted a new format. They play the classical game, and then when the games are drawn, they go into the Armageddon. To tell you the truth, I really enjoy it because when I go to sleep, it's always late in India when the classical games get over. But I know that when I wake up next day in the morning, there will be a winner of this match. And this makes it pretty interesting for the viewers. I don't know about the players, it's extremely tiring for them, especially for Vishy, who played 107 moves in classical chess against Ding Liren, and who was worse for some part of the game, then was better, and it was a very topsy-turvy game that ended in a draw. I'll just show you the final position was something like this, where Anand was white and, well, he drew this position, so it was not an easy task. So he came to the Armageddon game with the white pieces. He played 1 e4. Anand has 10 minutes and must win this game. Ding Liren has 7, and if he draws this game, he wins the match. So it was the same opening that was played in the classical game. Now this is interesting because the discussion continues. So I'll take you to the point where the players played the same thing in their classical game. Queen b8. This has become a very standard maneuver. You put your queen to a7 and then attack the f2 pawn. And we had this very position in the classical game when Anand had gone d4, e takes bishop c6, d into c3, and it was simply a crazy position with d5. Here Vishy, I think, erred with e5. He should have perhaps taken on d5, but it's all very complicated. Now imagine that you are playing this position in the classical game itself, and then the same one in the Armageddon, and you hardly have any time to prepare. And you realize that d4 did not work and your opponent is clearly better prepared. So I as a player would play something like bishop e3 because this is safe, solid, and if you take knight into e3, knight e7, this is well known, but also white has to win at all costs. This is what Anand has to do. And if he plays something like this, which Ding Liren has analyzed, well, I think his chances would be very less to beat this solid player. So what did Vishy come up with? He came up with this very original move, queen to d2, and well, the idea is simply to defend the pawn on f2 and at the same time keep control on the d4 square so that you can play d4. And the main idea, I think Anand realized that this is not a good move actually, but the surprise value, that's what he wanted. This was played by Dominguez against Vidit at the recent IMSA World Rapid and Blitz. a4 was Vidit's reply, and I think this is the best move, cutting out bishop a4 ideas, and Vidit went on to win that game. But rook a d8 was played by Ding, and now knight g3, knight to e7, d4. So Anand gets the center, and now e into d4 was important, I think, because you can't really take with the c pawn. Bishop b4 is coming up. So Vishy had to take knight into d4 and then d5, and I think Ding Liren must have assessed this position, but after e5 he must have felt that white has excellent attacking chances. Bishop could come back, the queen is already looking here, the knight could jump to h5 and all of this. But what he must not have considered in great depth, because this was an Armageddon game, is that knight e4 is very strong. The point is that if you take, then you open up the rook, which is great news for black, and if you do not take, let's say you play queen to d3, then after knight g3 you are seriously in doubt what to do, because the knight is coming to f5, you don't want to take here and get yourself pinned. And also if you take with the queen, then after bishop d4, cd4, knight f5, I think black is better. So taking on d4 was imperative, but Ding played bishop b6, which was not a good move. Queen c2, And here once again he should have taken, although here I don't really blame him, because after bishop e3 I find that white has excellent play for the pawn. So knight g6 was played, but this is just what Anand wanted. Bishop e3, and after c6 bishop d3, and you will see all his pieces are beautifully placed, and this is exactly what Vishy wanted. And in a Armageddon game, this is really a dream scenario for the white player. Rook f e8, queen went to d2 with a very clear intention. I am going to sacrifice this bishop on h6. So Ding said, well, I don't care, I'm going to play d5. And Anand said, well, I'm going to take it. D into e4 is important. If you take the bishop, then after knight g5 coming up, this is just over. E into d5, also bishop into g6 would be threatened. So d into e4 was played, and after knight e4, knight e4, I think it was important to take with the bishop here, because after e d4, queen g5 is a strong move, threatening bishop into g6. But Anand played rook e4, and now the game is already no longer purely on chess elements. There is so much nerves, tension. There's a bishop hanging here all the time. This queen on a7 is right out of the game, and the rook is going to transfer itself to g4 along with this bishop attacking g6 and the queen coming into g5. So this is really high pressure scenario. Bishop d5 was played, and here I have to give it up for Vishy's creativity. Although not the best idea on the board, but he was extremely creative. Bishop g5 was objectively best. You attack the rook, and after bishop e4 you take this and you say, well, I am an exchange down, but I have excellent compensation. But what Anand did was rook g4, and he allowed this pawn fork with his pawn on e4. And here he had prepared something tremendous. Can you find out? Yeah, there's no winning move for white as such. Okay, bishop into g7, and things don't really work here. I can just take the bishop. But knight to h4 was what Anand played. And his point was, if you take on h4, I'm going to take on g7. But if you play e into d3, which Ding did in the game, he wanted to play his knight to f5, which is of course a bad move, but I'm going to show you some lines which will convince you that in a Armageddon game this is really a powerful move. Knight into g6 was objectively the best, and after rook g6, rook d7, the point is to just give up everything and give a perpetual check. Black is two bishops up, but with the queen on a7, this is not going to work. Anand played knight to f5, and here the computer shouts for the move rook to e2, and I can completely understand Ding Liren. You know, if he plays his rook to e2, he was afraid that the queen will go to g5. So in the game, Ding played bishop to e6, which is a blunder, and after bishop into g7, he realized that bishop f5 doesn't work because of queen h6, and now there are two threats. Rook takes g6 is also a big possibility, and also you have bishop f6. Both cannot be prevented. Bishop f6. So rook e6 was played. By the way, now that I'm thinking a bit, rook into g6 is not really a big threat because fg6 and the king can run away from here. So the main idea is bishop f6 here. So Ding Liren said, well, I'm going to stop you from coming to f6. But Anand had a very nasty move prepared. What did he play? Bishop h8. And the bishop cannot be taken. The knight is pinned, and there is no way to stop queen g7 mate. And what I really like in this game is these two pieces just completely blocked out by this pawn chain. Now coming back to the most critical position here, bishop e6 was played by Ding, but he had to play rook to e2, queen g5, and here the move d2, because now rook e1 is a big threat. But white says, well, I'm going to take on g7. You can give me rook e1 check over here, but I'll just simply move my king up, and then I'm threatening queen h6. So black says, okay, I'm going to mate you first. Threaten mate in 1, rook e1 check is the threat. f4 by Anand. I think this would have happened if Ding Liren would have played rook e2. And here black has to find the only move to win. I don't know if you can do that with even 15 minutes on your clock, because it's not at all easy. The most natural move looks rook e1, and after king h2, rook into a1. But after queen h6, d1 queen, knight e7 check, and queen h8. That is game over. So this is how white's attack was going to roll out actually. But the winning move here, and which is very shocking and surprising, is the move queen to b6, and not at all easy to consider such a move, but well, you have to do it, and the primary reason is that you want to defend the rook on d8 so that bishop into f4 becomes possible. So something like, let's say, queen h6 is played, then black plays bishop into f4, and now knight into e7 is no longer so dangerous because you have rook into e7 in this position. So queen h8 is not possible, and here if you take rook into f4, then black is just winning after rook into g2, and the position is just completely winning. Here black's attack crashes through before white's. Well, the other point is that after, say, bishop f6, black takes queen into b2, and white is just one move too slow. Queen h6, queen, and rook into g2. So there are two ideas with queen b6. The main idea is to allow bishop f4. Say for example, I play b3 here to stop queen into b2. Then you can take on f4, and now white doesn't have queen into d8. So this was the key element of the entire problem here, the move queen b6, I think. And that's why Ding Liren just played bishop e6 to be safe, but Anand had it all covered and he won the game. So to beat a player like Ding Liren is really difficult in an Armageddon game, especially with white. But more importantly, Anand had played 107 moves and was extremely tired, and he's 49, guys. At this age, I don't see any top level player playing at this level. What is it with Vishy? Well, proud to be an Indian, proud to be in the same country as Anand, because this is really phenomenal what he just achieved.